Welcome, and we are so excited you could join us today. We're part of the Microsoft Power Platform organization. I'm Sangya Singh, and I lead the Power Pages product team.
And I'm Ryan Cunningham. I lead the PowerApps product team here at Microsoft. We've got some huge announcements for the low-code platform to share with you at this whole event at Build. Number one, the announcement of Power Pages as a standalone product, very exciting, and the ability to auto-generate low-code applications straight from design files and images. We've got some great demos in depth on each of those things, but for a minute, let's actually step back and look at what's happening in the low-code market and why are we really focusing on it as developers. Well, it turns out that this entire space is on the cusp of a lot of change. Gartner says that 70% of new applications developed inside the enterprise will be built on low-code or no-code platforms by 2025. That is a massive amount of change that's about to happen in this business over the next few years, and we've got to be ready for it.
We are already seeing a ton of momentum. The pace at which customers are rolling out low-code solutions, including external-facing portals on Power Platform, is skyrocketing exponentially into millions. This is something Satya shared earlier this year. PowerApps has emerged as the clear leader in low-code, no-code tools. And that growth isn't just being driven by novices and citizen developers. Increasingly, we are seeing mission-critical solutions being built by people with expertise in their business and professional developers coming together, innovating together, and adopting the same platform to innovate much faster.
Let's talk about Hearing Australia as just one example of an organization that's getting a lot of value from low-code. Now, this organization is the largest provider of audiology services that are funded by the government in the entire continent of Australia. And that means that their frontline workers need a lot of help and they need good tools. In fact, Hearing Australia, using Power Platform, has been able to build purpose-built, professional-looking mobile apps for those frontline audiologists that save them really valuable time in the field and build their situational awareness so they know what they need to be aware of as they go into each of these communities, saves them hours of prep and pre-work, and means they can spend a lot more time with patients. But that's not all. Those mobile apps are built on top of a powerful data platform and integrated with back office tools and applications that have also been developed in the organization, which means that every employee can stay up to date on exactly what they need to know across locations, across devices, across patients, and really replacing a lot of the processes that used to be incredibly manual, stuck in spreadsheets, email chains, manual meetings, and more, all of it getting automated in software now because of low code, but not just because of the technology of low code, but the interaction and relationships that it makes possible. Particularly the partnership between software developers and people who have expertise in what it means to be an audiologist. In fact, in this case, the story starts with Jackie Peck, who herself spent years as a frontline audiologist and hearing expert, knows better than anyone what it means to make the life of that type of worker more productive and efficient. And Jackie was able to find Power Platform, become proficient in it, build the first iteration of many of these solutions on her own. But that's not where the story ends. Hearing Australia has a development team in IT, and developers like Dennis Liang, senior dev in that group, able to figure out what Jackie is doing and come help. Come figure out how to take that back-end data logic to the next level, figure out how to optimize performance of particular applications, and together, Jackie and Dennis were able to really start transforming the entire way this organization operates. And that's been really impactful for Hearing Australia. It's got visibility even of their top leadership. The CIO said, this is an exciting new way to work. It's making a big difference in how an organization like this innovates.
What Jackie, Dennis, and Mike are doing at Hearing Australia is something that's happening across countless organizations globally. Team members with different technical fluency, from business users to pro developers, are embracing low-code as an essential toolkit and a new way of working. A way of working that really shortens the loop between developers and business people, where everyone can work in the same tools together. As in Hearing Australia, people who understand what it means to better serve a hearing patient, they have a seat at the table with the developers co-creating the solution. And developers no longer have to build everything from ground up. They can use a mature planet-scale platform to go a lot faster, Write the code where it's most needed. That means more progress, faster, with more consistent outcomes across the board.
And the Microsoft stack is built for this level of collaboration. This isn't just about the low-code tools on the top. It actually starts at a powerful data layer. All of the productivity data in Microsoft Graph, all of the structured business data in Dataverse, which itself is a managed abstraction of many low-level Azure services, Azure Synapse for best-in-class analytics, all of that wrapped together and integrated with great cloud services in the PaaS layer. Azure API management, Azure Functions for serverless code, all of that coming together and integrated as well with world-class developer tools. Let me manage my source control in GitHub. Let me write my code in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. All of that integrated with Power Platform as that next layer of abstraction on top. So a citizen developer, somebody with a background like Jackie's, can be productive in the same set of tools that a professional developer, somebody like Dennis, can use at any layer of the stack. And that is how these things really come together and start to drive velocity. Now, if we zoom into the Power Platform layer specifically, this is not just about one tool for mobile apps or one tool for websites. It's really a holistic low-code solution that brings a lot of this high velocity, high abstraction to every part of app development. It's one thing to make the frontline worker's job easier by replacing paper with a mobile app. But that also starts to feed data into a structured backend of Microsoft Dataverse, which itself is integrated with great business intelligence tools like Power BI. So now I can start to ask and answer much more interesting questions about how the business is operating. That leads to opportunities for automation. How can I make that human more productive with an automation in Power Automate or a virtual agent developed in Power Virtual Agents? And so this whole system working together is what really starts to drive velocity. And now this set of capabilities is getting even richer with the introduction of Power Pages.
I'm super excited to announce Power Pages, the newest member of the Microsoft Power Platform family. At the core, Power Pages is an enterprise-grade website development and hosting platform. You can leverage it today for its no-code and pro developer capabilities to design, build, and launch business data-centric websites to reach your customers, partners, and the communities you serve. Through these websites, you can securely give access to relevant business data and information they need 24/7 and streamline processes with them to gain efficiencies. And you'll have peace of mind with the most reliable, secure, battle-tested hosting platform that organizations and governments around the world are leveraging today to launch government-to-citizen services, business-to-consumer, business-to-business services at scale. Let's see a demo of Power Pages in the context of Hearing Australia. But first, let me set up the context. Hearing Australia wants to better support their frontline healthcare workers. Nurses like Marie, who you'll meet in the demo, uses specialized hearing diagnostic equipment to provide hearing checks to young children in the community. This equipment requires regular maintenance, calibration, and repair. Today, this end-to-end process involving frontline workers like Marie and several outside partners is done entirely via emails and spreadsheets. It's cumbersome, error-prone, and slows down the process of getting working equipment to communities that need it. Now, in order to solve this problem, Jackie, the business expert, and Dennis, the professional developer, want to work together and leverage Power Pages to build a secure website that Marie can access from her phone to get to the equipment details and streamline the service request process with the partners. Let's take a look at the demo. It has two parts. First up, we're going to see the website that citizen and professional developers have come together to build for nurses like Marie to use. And later, we're going to see how they built the website using Power Pages. Here you can see Marie, the nurse, access the website from her phone. During a checkup visit, Marie logs in to the website to troubleshoot an equipment that is not working. She's directed to this web page that shows a list of all the equipments she has access to, where she can scroll through the list or she can search for the device by serial number and filter the list down. She finds the equipment record she's looking for and she proceeds to view details. In this equipment details page, she sees a rich set of all the information she needs. She sees the images of the equipment, links to device manuals, and this gallery of several how-to training videos. She goes through frequently asked questions to troubleshoot. She also reviews historical maintenance done on the device. Through all of this rich data, she confirms that the device has too much distortion, so she needs to file a support request to get the device repaired. She can easily do that by starting a service request from the same page. She's presented with an easy-to-use service request form where she enters all the details that is needed to submit for repair to the technical partners. Upon submission, she gets confirmation that the technical partner will be notified on her behalf. She can now see that her request is in progress and she can log in anytime into this website to check status. Now let's just see how this business data-centric website was built using PowerPages. When you navigate to PowerPages homepage, you see all the websites that you've created or are collaborating with others. You can access the Templates Hub to browse through a rich set of out-of-the-box high-value templates like scheduling, registration, and many more to start your website making journey. Navigate to Learn Hub as your go-to place to access how-to videos, articles that will guide you through different stages of design, build, configure, and launching of your website. Let's head back to PowerPages' homepage and open up the portal website in the Design Studio where the team has been collaborating. PowerPages' Design Studio has 4 workspaces: Pages, Styling, Data, and Setup. This first workspace, Pages workspace, is where you add and build web pages. On the left navigation pane, you can see all the pages that make up the site. You can build professional-looking web pages by adding several components like text, images, videos, and make inline changes to get to the look and content you want. The next web page uses more advanced component like this business data list that the dev team built in Data Workspace. This particular business data list was built on a table to display all equipment that the website users have access to. The second workspace is the styling workspace. Here, you can apply site-wide color and font styling. You can start from several themes out of the box, where teams tweak colors and fonts definition to match the organization's brand. The third workspace is the data workspace. Here's where you model business tables, data that you collect and share through the websites with your customers and partners. For example, you can see several equipment-related business tables that were modeled using this powerful no-code table designer you see on the right. Once the tables are modeled, you can design the forms and lists and views on these tables and add them to the web pages. And finally, in the Setup workspace, you can do several site configurations, including setting permissions to who has access to what business data through this table permission experience. Here you can set permissions for each business data table to allow specific user roles to have access to it on the website. Next, let's dive a little deeper into equipment's detail page that has advanced capabilities. For that, I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. Using Visual Studio Code extensions, as a developer, I can download the entire website content. You can see site content including forms, lists, web pages, nicely structured in YAML and HTML, making customization intuitive for me as a developer. Let's take a look at 3 advanced customizations that I've done. Here, you can see PowerPages' web APIs to dynamically query a Dataverse table to fetch equipment details based on the user-entered serial number. Then, based on that, I can display all the equipment details dynamically like the image descriptions of the equipment on the web page. In the second customization, we're going to see how the custom gallery control that shows how-to training videos was added to the web page. This control I created in React, where you can see how the control gets added and is populated by video information that's stored in Dataverse in the equipment training table. And lastly, all the CSS styles I've captured in one custom file that allows me to link it to this web page. Let's head back to the Design Studio where I can go and sync all the changes I made in Visual Studio Code. Once everything is synced up, I can test the advanced capabilities that I built by previewing the site either in desktop or in mobile by scanning this QR code. So let's recap what we saw in the demo. There are 4 key capabilities that you can rely on with Power Pages. The first one we saw was a low-code website design studio where you can create and style your websites, but more importantly, you can model and design business data tables, forms, and lists using powerful table designers, form designers, view designers, and add them to your websites. Second, we saw best-in-class ProDev tooling that you use to extend, customize, and implement advanced web experiences and business logic. Third, a robust, scalable, enterprise-grade website hosting platform built with security and compliance. And lastly, you can extend the Power Pages business solutions to drive end-to-end innovation by leveraging all other 4 services of Power Platform. PowerApps to create internal apps based on the data that you're getting from your sites. Automate your workflows through Power Automate and robotic process automation. Build analytics using Power BI. And Power Virtual Agent for intelligent bot experiences. All built on Microsoft Dataverse, Power Platform's business data and logic service layer. We also saw in the ProDev tooling in Visual Studio Code how professional developers can build custom controls like the gallery we saw of how-to videos that was built in React and easily added to the website. Dynamically query the business data through our data layer and APIs. Style the web pages with pixel-perfect custom CSS style sheets. And we have enterprise-grade ALM for continuous integration and deployment with GitHub and Azure DevOps.
Wow, it's just amazing what's now possible with Power Pages. But let's shift gears a little bit and actually start to talk about another big announcement this week for low-code, and particularly the introduction of Express Design, the ability to auto-generate apps from design files and images. You know, a lot of the context here is that the time-consuming parts of software and the expensive parts of software aren't just about the coding. They're not just about the software. They're about all the human interactions around software. You know, a lot of projects, a lot of applications, they don't start at file new project in an IDE. They start with a problem. They start with an idea, and that evolves forward into a design. So that's why we're so excited to introduce this new concept of Express Design. You know, take any of those existing inputs, whether it's an image or a PDF or a design file, and automatically generate low-code applications in just a few clicks. And we're particularly excited about the ability to do that in the integration with Figma, where so much software today is designed and sort of born, but then often has a much harder process handing off to be replicated in code. And so to show us how that works and to get into the details of it, there's really nobody more qualified than a designer herself. And for that, we're going to go hand it to Alana Robinson, who leads product design for the PowerApps Studio, you know, and herself is an expert in tools like Figma. Alana, can you show us how all this works?
Thanks, Ryan. As you can imagine, most user-friendly solutions don't start with a development backlog. They begin with a problem statement and a design. And as a designer, I will work with the business groups to understand those users' needs and challenges and design experiences that meet those expectations. It can be challenging and time-consuming for developers to replicate the same UI from the design tool over to the app development platform. So now, with Express Design, I can create those designs using the PowerApps Control Kit in Figma, like I do today with my other UI libraries in Figma, and I can convert that design to a functional app in moments, which saves the development team so much time and process. For example, here I am designing the app for Hearing Australia. I've named the frames Home, Info, and Form, but now I need to go in and add a Submit button to complete this page. I can go over to the Assets pane, see all of the components, which are showing the list from the PowerApps Insert menu, grab a PowerApps button component with the exact properties of a real PowerApps button control, and I can place it here to complete the designs. Now, let's go over to PowerApps. You'll see a few new tiles on the homepage. One of them is Start from Figma, and we'll click that. We'll go ahead and name the app, plug in the Figma details, which pulls directly from that file that I was just working on, and we'll select a phone layout. In a few moments, the app is auto-generated, saving a ton of back and forth between the designer and developer. Let's make sure everything came in as expected. Yep, it is exactly as I laid it out in my Figma file, right down to the pixel. Let's go over to the page navigation, and you can see the home, info, and form pages are just like the frames I had in my file. It's amazing that as a designer, I can leverage my existing skills to accelerate that app development process. And I can save time by using the tools I already use. Plus, I have more control over that built experience, ultimately serving the needs of the end users better. Now I'll hand this over to the developer team to make sure that the data is hooked up correctly. Over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Alana. That is just so cool how quickly we can generate an application out of a design file. But now that the application is built and set up and all the components and controls are here right in the PowerApps Studio ready for us, now as a developer, there's a lot more that I can do to help bring this app all the way to life and bring code to it as well. One of the first things you'll notice if you're new to PowerApps Studio is this isn't just a visual environment. This is very connected to data. In fact, as we open up this data pane here, we see all the structured data in Microsoft Dataverse and more than 600 built-in connectors to existing business systems. Quite literally everything from Adobe to Zendesk. In fact, I can add my own data sources here as well. By registering any custom API managed anywhere with a REST endpoint on the planet, I can bring it right into Power Platform and start to use those services as well. In fact, here I've got a custom service I've registered and it's showing up. I can add to my app for address verification and bring it in just like that, start to use it in this application bound to controls and components. Speaking of controls and components, that same concept of lots of great things out of the box, but being able to bring my own, that exists at the UX layer as well. I can come right here and integrate a custom set of components, import them from a component library. Now I can build those either in code, I can write TypeScript or React components and import them, but now I can also build them in low code. In fact, PowerApps Canvas components now becoming generally available this month. I can import a component like this map control that the design calls for, that I've pre-built and preloaded with data and interaction, drop it right here onto the canvas and put it in the app and get ready to roll from that point. Now, the structured data in PowerApps is also really important to how humans interact with things like forms and grids and galleries. And I can pop over here to this next screen and start to bind a table in Dataverse to a form that's been generated out of the Express Design functionality from Figma. So this is no longer just a picture of fields and labels. It's actually now bound to that underlying table in the Dataverse database. It means that every time somebody fills out that form, that data is going to go somewhere that I can work with it later in a structured way. Now, speaking of data going places, this is also an integrated place for orchestration and automation. We mentioned before that Power Platform fully integrated set of tools. Well, I can use Power Automate right in context here as well. We've added that submit button right onto the canvas. Now I can, in a couple of clicks, pull up that full Power Automate experience. I've got all the galleries of templates. Let's say we want to send a push notification to a mobile phone whenever this form is submitted. And I can choose that template and actually start to work with it right in line in the PowerApps Studio, doing visual process automation and orchestration over that same set of more than 600 connected data sources. Just a really powerful set of capabilities all here at my fingertips, and I haven't even had to write a line of real code yet. Now, of course, we do have really powerful embedded support for logic and expressing logic in text. And we can use the language PowerFX. It's a dedicated language for low code, the first of its kind. It's completely open source as well. In this case, I'm going to go bind this button to trigger that that flow when it launches using a simple expression, and I'm off to the races. I'm ready to go with this application. So let's save it and publish it and get it moving and start delivering it to users. But look, the last thing to cover here is the speed of low code and the speed of interacting with designers. It's powerful for the first time we build an app, but it's also really powerful as we continue to iterate and update and maintain that app over time. And let's say in a week or a month or a year, we decide we need to add another screen, another component to this application. This is where low code also really starts to shine. I can come back to this app, I can fire up a new screen, and using those same rich components that I've provisioned into the environment as a developer, building a new screen in this app is really just a couple of clicks. I can drop that header component in that we use in other places. I can drop in another one of those great pre-built components for an equipment list. And now I've submitted my app, it's getting updated, my users are happy, and I'm delivering value faster than ever. Now, one of the amazing things about Express Design is that it's not just Figma files. You can really generate apps from even much less structured inputs like a static image or a PDF and get all the same acceleration downstream that we just went through. Today, a shocking amount of business processes are still stuck on paper, they're in printed forms, they're in emailed attachments, and even more software doesn't always get the same level of professional designer attention that would work in a tool like Figma. But now I can take any of those inputs, whether that's a PDF of a legacy form or an image that I drew on a whiteboard, and bring those into PowerApps and get analyzed for the common app elements inherent in those static images and generate great applications automatically. And that's pretty cool. Behind the scenes, we're pulling this off using a lot of the amazing mature cognitive AI tech that's been really robust and maturing in Microsoft for a long time. In fact, we've trained models in Azure Cognitive Services under the hood to understand common app elements out of those visual images, understand what's a text box, what's a button, but even more importantly, how they fit together, how they group into things like a form and a table, making it really possible to take something that's truly unstructured as an image and generate a data-backed application faster than ever from an input like that. Now, Express Design and Power Pages are just a few of the latest ways that Power Platform is really accelerating the software development cycle for hundreds of thousands of organizations like here in Australia and hundreds of thousands of developers like Jackie and Dennis around the world. The stories of what people are doing as they embrace low code, make it part of their toolkit, are really powerful. They're looking at this platform as just the next layer of abstraction on top of all of the existing great development tools that we've been building for years. That next layer of abstraction that reduces repeated work, adds to the skill set of developers of all types and flavors, and lets people focus the technical energy on the problems that actually matter most and leave the rest to the platform. And the things that people are building here are really, truly impressive.
Well, we've covered a lot, and we so appreciate you staying with us all throughout the session. There are many more low-code and Power Platform keynotes, breakout sessions, and on-demands for you to watch that we can go deeper into, and how you can leverage low-code platform and tools today to have an impact and accelerate your organization's digital transformation journey.
There's definitely no shortage of content here at Build. There's a lot more announcements going on in the rest of the Power Platform as well, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents. But if it's up to us, we definitely recommend you check out the deep dive on-demand sessions on Power Pages and Power Apps to go to even the next level of detail on the things we've covered here today. So thanks again. Have an awesome rest of the conference.